Welcome everyone to our first official Bond film series commentary.
Well,
Yay!
remember, there was
Actually, we already did
that.
Casino Royale, the black and white
Yes,
one.
but that was long before the official Bond series started.
Also, Jova, I'm pretty sure, a short black and white, where Peter Lorre is supposed to be the villain. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
So,
But anyway, this is where the official
taking James Bond seriously. That's a good one.
Anyway, this is where the official Bond film series started from Eon Productions back in 1962. This is Dr. No, starring some Scottish guy named Sean Connery. I don't know who he is. Do you guys?
This was the thing that propelled his career, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're not going to beat around the bush. We'll talk about the history of the film and the film itself as we go on. So start before the NGM logo. If you have United Artists in there somewhere as well in your copy, just skip it as fast as you can and get to the gun barrel bit. But we're using the same copy, so we're fine. All right. 3, 2, 1, click.
Also,
Okay, so-
here, yeah.
So honestly, I was just expecting a 20th Century Fox logo to appear.
Interesting you say that, Deji, because for a while, the 20th Century Fox were distributing the Bond films on DVD,
broccoli.
on DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, maybe that's why I was expecting it.
Oh, hey, cartoon blood.
Well, that's how that's how the gun barrel was because
I know. It's just like, oh,
there,
it's
were
so...
there were no CG effects back then.
I know, it's
All right,
so iconic seeing it
this
be
is-
cartoon like
this is
it's in a
based on a
Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
If I recall correctly, this is based on a series of books, and the author was still, Ian Fleming, and he was still alive to give consultants for the movies.
He was alive for the first 3, I think.
Okay.
There's
Anyway,
that iconic lyrical tune.
Who
Fun
composed
fact:
this?
the composer of the theme song and this film in general is Monty Norman.
Never heard of him.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh,
After this,
Cyrus. I remember that name.
after this movie, for the longest time, Bond film music was composed by John Barry.
Never heard
Also,
of him
interesting
either.
title sequence, someone playing Stack 4.
Yeah. This title sequence was made by Maurice Binder, who had gone to be a long-running creator of the title sequences for Bond films. However, after this movie, he, for some reason, didn't do the ones for the following 2 movies that came after this.
Okay, hello.
Interesting outline there.
I guess right now we're in the Three Caballeros, then.
The good old 60s with their quirks.
As you could tell, Maurice Binder was struggling to get his foot in the door with making these ones, so this is the rest of the sequence.
I mean, remember, this was a starting franchise. Let me check actually how was the budget.
I'm not sure how low the budget was by 1960 standards. Oh, by the way,
I can't imagine.
I didn't say the film's title. It's Dr. No. I didn't even say
Oh
the
my
title
god, maybe
of
this is the Three
The Three
Caballeros.
Stooges.
Or maybe the Three Amigos.
Anyway, 1.1 million for the... I don't know how much it was for the time, but for the box office it did 59.5, so yeah, increasing... Basically, Blumhouse production tier of success.
Basically, counting inflation, that's actually a pretty good penny
That's
that they
supposed
made.
to be a take on Three Blind Mice.
They're literally
Yep.
singing the song, so yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't pay attention, my bad. Also, fun fact, Dweebs, in my country, this is actually called License to Kill.
What?
I don't, basically, in my country, the James Bond movies have a couple of them had their titles translated, but in completely different way. And this one was License to Kill. So I'm actually checking what the actual License to Kill is being translated to.
That's totally not confusing at all.
Maybe
You tell him.
maybe the License to Kill one is translated as
There-
Dr. No instead.
there you go.
They switched it.
The License to Kill movie, the one made in 1989, is being translated into Private Vengeance. how generic.
Private Vengeance.
That sounds like a
makes
Steven.
sense. That's
That
the plot of
sounds
the
like a
film,
Steven
but-
Seagal movie. But anyway, oof.
So yeah, it turns out the three blind mice are assassins.
Weren't so blind.
They could be blind, Tio. They could just be very, very good at their jobs.
True.
It's a good disguise.
There, remember, Teo, this, well, actually, when was Daredevil created again?
Oof, the 80s, I think.
Yeah, so this was the inspiration for Daredevil then, too.
Completely, with the radioactive goop.
Classic Moneypenny. I think this is Moneypenny, isn't it?
Actually,
no,
no,
never mind,
no.
never mind, no.
Although that haircut, jeez.
No, the 1960s, Teo, like...
I know, very vaporous. Okay.
Oh, well, that's what we call triple
Yeah,
trouble.
now that's rude. Also, there was a bit of a jump cut.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I guess they aren't blind after all.
Yeah, that's another problem. Yeah,
Yes,
a lot of this film, a lot of the editing techniques from the 1960s has aged really, really badly. I mean, I reckon I would be surprised if people who were watching this back in the day were like, "Wait, why did it cut there?"
Another classic
have to
bit of the
understand-
60s.
Ladies and
Over-the-top
gentlemen, we have a
bombastic
title.
music.
You have to
No.
understand that back in the 1960s, it was a much more simpler time.
Hey
than
guys,
today.
look! Hey guys, look! It's that place in the Avengers. It was called Eondon, Gundon.
Also, if I recall correctly, editing in this particular time was still literally having to to actually cut away part of the film. So yeah, it was very rough.
Oh, fun
just
fact!
that, but-
Fun fact, though, the editor of this film, Peter Hunt, who had gone to edit the other '60s Bond movies, eventually became a director, and he directed On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Huh.
So we have with us a guest star here.
Why does that guy look like Mr. Fantastic? From
He does a bit. He
Four
does a bit, yeah.
reboot?
Well, remember the Fantastic Fours were created around this time, and Reed was a reflection of what around the time it was considered the nerdy science.
Yeah, but in the new one that came out in 2015, he looks like the guy who played Mr.
Yeah, he
Fantastic.
does look like Miles
For
Teller.
Miles Teller.
But yeah, this was back in the day where things were more
Listen.
simple. And at the time, movie audiences, when watching movies like these, they weren't thinking about how believable the effects were. They just
Yeah.
wanted to see something cool happening on screen.
Admittedly,
Also-
that sort of has to do with the fact that moving pictures, while not necessarily a new thing, I mean, those were things as early as the 1930s, as we saw with our commentary of the old
Alright.
30s Scarface. But here, I think this is when movies were starting to be in color.
Since you're the British person here, let me actually ask you this. Well, as far as you know, Bond is part of the MI6. The
Tio.
secret agency. Yes.
Tio, in this film, for some reason, they call it MI7.
Yeah, no,
I guess
that's
they wanna
actually
go
what
one
I wanted
step
to ask.
beyond.
How many agencies are there? Because I'm actually reading a
few.
book. I'm actually reading a book around this time that actually talks about, for example, the MI5 as well. So
Yeah, we
I'm
have
actually
MI5,
curious.
MI6.
Let
They
me
all work
guess,
in
one
different areas of
organization per
espionage.
country.
No,
Interesting
it's,
car dealing
they
machine.
focus on different
Get used
aspects.
get used to this, everybody, because Baccarat is basically practically the James Bond national sport of this franchise, basically.
Surprised it's not poker. Usually a lot
Or
of fancy.
blackjack.
And there he is. James Bond, played by, what's his name?
Sean Connery.
Roll call credits.
Literal who.
Yeah, this is back when Sean Connery was a literal who, and it shows he's not using his iconic voice for this one.
Although he
Well,
does say Bond,
this was
James Bond.
it was pretty much the not. I don't remember if this was his first movie, but obviously this is the one that pulled him up in his career.
No, he had roles before this, but no, this was definitely the one that.
No,
This
no.
is also back then. At least I know for certain because my grandparents told me a bit of the history about the Bond movies. I know for certain that Sean Connery wasn't a a demanding actor, So therefore, when making this movie, they wanted to search someone who, didn't cost too much, to put it, and Connery offered basically volunteer.
The irony of what you just said, Tio, considering some of his demands for the later movies, or his later movies.
So remind me, was this before?
And also that would kind of cripple Diamonds Are Forever, but we'll get to that.
So was this before or after he became famous for playing in that skin-tight leotard?
No, that was long after this.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, Dweb's George Lazenby was just that bad, I guess.
Not that Connery honestly gave all that good of a performance in Diamonds, to be honest. But again, that's Diamonds, so yeah.
This actually reminds me of that episode of MST3K where they will review one of the spoof Bond movie. I think it's called Agents for Hate, which is
look at him! He's so cool that he can get it in one shot.
Yeah, there's money, Penny.
Yeah,
I bet you behind the scenes it took him like 15 tries to do that.
Possible.
Maybe.
Yeah.
She's actually the longest running actress to play Moneypenny. She started in this film, and she would go on all the way up to A View to a Kill in 1985.
Wow, she actually has the ability to possibly be a love interest who doesn't die.
Well, yeah. Well,
the running gag, the job is that Moneypenny is the only woman interested in Bond that Bond never actually gets with.
The irony.
So yeah, they're currently having a bit of problems getting their Jamaican agent up.
Yeah, she must be dead tired over there.
Yeah.
And the leader of the MI6, here he has a code name.
The iconic red door that I don't know what the hell it looks like.
That's a funny thing, Tio. In this movie, for some reason, they dub over M saying MI6 to him saying MI7. I mean, that never comes up in any other movie. It's MI6.
Weird.
From the second one onward. I don't know why either. I mean, and again, Ian Fleming was on the set a few times while they were making the first few Bond films.
Yeah, this was back in the 60s, before we had stuff like smartphone tracking and everything to tell when something was going wrong.
And
this was also basically, well, not to the plot.
One at a time, guys.
Go on, Pedro.
If I remember correctly, isn't this actor also a long-running M as well?
Yeah, he started as M in this movie and would be M all the way up till 1979's Moonraker.
Yeah,
huh.
I actually remember him in Moonraker. Yeah.
Basically, since a lot of the movies, the stories of Bond are set basically in the Cold War, not all of them, but a good chunk of them are basically about discovering secrets and preventing, international accidents that may cause, tension between the Soviet Union and the United States. And basically, it was kind of the hot thing to do because it was also a thing that a lot of other movies and comic books were doing around the time.
So Moneypenny earlier was played by Lois Maxwell. M here is played by Bernard Lee.
And considering the limited communications, any kind of minor tension had to be treated with the most highest priority.
Yeah.
This is not Q.
Yeah, basically everybody. Q is my favorite Bond character. Unfortunately, this was before Desmond Llewellyn came in to turn the role into a legendary character. But this guy's just generic white guy who doesn't really make an impression.
Hey, what's wrong with a Beretta? Come on, man. Jeez.
It's when Desmond Llewellyn took over the role that the character became a fan favorite.
See, James.
So yeah, Connery Bond wants to keep his Beretta, but
I love that line. Yeah, the license to kill, not to get killed.
Oh wow, good for you, M.
It's MI6, not MI7. Anyway, so yeah, he wants to keep the Beretta, but it jammed on him the last time, and he spent 6 months in hospital. So he's been pretty much forced by M to get the now legendary Walther PPK.
I'm sure that won't come in handy whatsoever.
Yeah, Major Boothroyd in this as Q's called in this film is played by an actor named Peter Burton. I'm not really familiar with him though, if I'm honest.
Fun fact, Webs, even though the weapon is of course named Walther PPK, as all Bond fans know. In 007 GoldenEye for the N64, for some reason they call it the Walther PP7. I don't get.
I'm
Get
guessing
it?
there may
Because
be a copyright
007.
issues with the names of the guns.
I guess, but it's called. It has a name. Just stick to the name.
They were trying to be clever there.
I guess, but it wasn't necessary.
Try hard, I guess.
It's not even that funny or clever. It's just.
It's weird.
Aww.
But yeah, we don't even see. I don't think we see Major Boothroyd in this film again after that guy.
Mm-hmm.
For the next film onwards, Q would be played by Desmond Llewellyn.
Excuse me.
Who would play Q. I think he missed one film, but he would play Q almost consistently from 1963's From Russia with Love up until The World Is Not Enough in 1999.
Indeed. After that, he would be replaced by John Cleese,
movie.
Whose Q had a very a very early demise and deserved better.
Yeah, it didn't help that he was in The World Is Not Enough, but his only real appearance as Q was in Die Another Day, and well,
let me guess.
Die Another Day is that film.
Let me guess.
I still think the Q scene in Die Another Day is awesome, but whatever.
So
Can we not talk about that
movie?
What the fuck are you doing?
This is classic James Bond tale. There's a hot chick infiltrating in either your hotel room or your house.
No,
So,
I
yeah,
get
we
it, but
have
why
that-
are you playing mini golf in the room?
Because it's sexier that
big enough.
way, I guess.
So yeah, this we saw this girl earlier at the poker table
Yeah,
where we saw Bond give his introduction, and for some reason, this woman's voice is dubbed over. But I watched the trailer for this film where the voice wasn't dubbed. She doesn't sound that bad, so why'd they dub her?
Good question. I have no idea.
I don't know. I can't even remember the character's name anyway. So
Let me guess. She's gonna be chow food by the end of this film.
no, actually.
Really?
That's the thing, the thing that I recall. James
Oh,
is pretty
Pan
much of
American! I remember when that was an
when
airline.
it existed.
Let Theo explain.
No. James is pretty much a womanizer. It's a James T. Kirk situation with a woman in every port.
Meanwhile, in the Daniel Craig movies, every love interest dies.
Don't you see?
That's where it
don't
kind
you
of
see-
became a meme.
Don't you see, Theo? That's exactly the problem with this franchise. It's a misogynist franchise. It needs to
Clearly.
die.
Oh, so that's why they're getting a female to play James Bond 007 now?
Oh yeah,
It's-
that.
You want? Shall
Well,
we talk about
I'll
that?
just wait for the... Yeah.
Deji,
What
let's
do-
just wait for the film to come out.
Personally-
Yeah, let me say instead something completely different. Sorry, Joe, go on.
Personally, I'm fine with the idea since they're still having Daniel Craig play the role of James Bond in there, so it's not like, they're ousting him outright. Anyway, you were saying to you?
No, let me say one thing that I've seen through the movies, at least the ones that I remember, because I've seen a good chunk of them, but I remember only a few of them, unfortunately. But despite having what can be considered sci-fi elements, either by having the villains having to do sometimes complicated schemes, or having unrealistic technology in the form of gadgets or some of the super weapons that the villains are making, the series is fairly grounded in reality, in a sense of you don't see like people with superpowers or stuff like that. The closest thing that I remember is maybe Baron Samedi at some point, which is only questionable in a sense of surviving.
There's Jaws, who has fucking steel teeth for some reason.
Is that really a superpower, though?
So yeah, a car's not supposed to be there for Bond.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Theo, there's Oddjob who can cut people's heads off with his hat.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's like I said, that is included in the gadget part.
by the way, that's the first incarnation of Felix Leiter, played in this film by Jack Lord, who after this film who after this film just disappears in From Russia with Love and comes back in Goldfinger having gained a few pounds and looks different.
Shit happens.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. Yeah, Jack Lawrence speaks later. So Bond, instead of legging it or anything else, he decides to stick with the suspicious taxi driver so he can trap him later on and try and get some info out of him as to so why the fuck are you trying to kidnap me, you prick?
Well, remember, Dwebs, 007 is the only MI6 agent in this series who manages to make it through the entire series alive, because all the others die at some point in some of the movies.
There's even that one video game where you start controlling one MI6 agent, but you're basically bound to fail, like the second mission, and then James picks up.
So yeah, we have the taxi driver.
What car?
More chauffeur.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Jesus.
That's one way to lose them, I guess.
Yeah, that clearly fooled him, I guess. What kind of accent was that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now it's Scottish accent starting to show.
I love that line, though. Both hands on the wheel. I'm a very nervous passenger.
Yep. Which is why you wouldn't want to startle me.
About the production of this movie, the rights were gained to this novel by a producer named Harry Saltzman, who was a Canadian. But he didn't want to go through with the project. So Albert Broccoli wanted the rights so he could make the film instead. Wanted to buy him off him, but Saltzman didn't want to sell him, so he decided to form a partnership together. Yeah, this music. Okay, Monty Norman did a really good job with the theme, but the actual score itself in the film, not so much.
Again, like I said, it's the usual 60s style of booming, bombastic music.
That's the thing, Joe, that later scores, even from the 60s, aren't this bombastic.
Dweebs, have you seen classic Star Trek?
Bond-bastic?
Oh, God.
He means Bond movies, not movies in general.
Well, he was talking about movies from the 60s in general. So, aren't you a sore loser?
The 60s were regarded as the age of camp back in Hollywood. Dwebs, like it was everything.
These films aren't all that campy.
Yeah.
Well, you just complained about the score being campy.
I said
more. I'm guessing it's more of a dissonance thing.
By the way, do not mind. By the way, don't mind the corpse in the background there.
No. It's like in Commando. Don't mind about my friend. He's very tired.
I said the film, not the score.
What?
I mean, it's not the worst score in the series. I just think Norman kind of overdid it.
What kind of country has its military with shorts?
Nigeria.
You'd be surprised.
Maybe it's a very hot country, Teo. You don't want your military personnel to just well,
again, there'd be much better musical scores as the series goes on.
Well, that clearly means that must be suspicious then.
Yeah, the day a Bond film happens where there's nothing suspicious is, yeah.
Oh, great, more Baccarat.
Where did they film the Waves? Just to know.
Where'd they film?
Yeah,
probably somewhere in the UK.
Let me see. London and Jamaica.
Ah,
nice.
So on site. Nice.
Yeah. One thing about these movies is that unlike a lot of other films that pretends like, say, Sydney is New York or wherever, they actually do their best to actually go to those locations.
I'm surprised you didn't mention again Cardiff disguised as London.
Nah, I've done that enough times.
Okay.
I'm curious to know what kind of film tried to disguise Sydney, Australia as New York City.
For Ragnarok.
Huh.
I mean, you're not wrong. A lot of places that are in MCU.
Wow, didn't you that Two-Face started becoming a scientist?
Oh, it's funny you mention that, Tio, because in the Adam West Burt Ward animated movie starring Two-Face based off of the lost episode from the 60s show, Two-Face actually does start off as a scientist who's trying to divide the good from the bad in a man.
Oh, I'm sorry, are you talking about Gotham or...
No. Basically, there was a DC animated movie which basically took the lost episode for Two-Face from the 60s show and made it into an animated movie.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, wasn't that the entire plot of Gotham, that there was the Wayne Industries?
Oh yeah, there's the not stirred martini bit.
Of course.
Not stirred.
Bond's favorite drink.
Interesting thing about the directing choice for this film. The film was directed by Terence Young, who would later go on to helm From Russia with Love and Thunderball in the Bond series, and much later on a really crappy film called Inchon. But the other people they had in mind were directors named Guy Green, Guy Hamilton, Val Guest, and Ken Hughes. The last mentioned would go on to direct future Bond films. Guy Hamilton, who helmed Goldfinger, but also Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, and The Man with the Golden Gun.
You're pretty sure you seem to like the name Guy for some reason.
And Val Guest and Ken Hughes would be two of the 6 directors of Casino Royale 1967.
Lovely.
What is setting up the hair on the on that?
Well, that's to in case anyone breaks in, and
he will recognize that.
Yeah, he'll recognize that that's been disturbed, and there's an enemy.
Bond is very crafty, too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Which is funny because this is one of those rare times where Bond does stuff like this.
Well, that's probably because in the other movies he's more reliant on the gadgets that he's been given. But I remember a couple of Detective Conan episodes that actually rely on stuff like involving tricks similar to that.
It's inspired by this, I'm sure.
Obviously.
In the same way that also probably, I forget. Never mind. Lost my train of thought. But let's just see it, Webs. Like every great artist, I want to create a masterpiece once in my life. The death of 007. Mano a mano. Face to face.
Any particular thing you're referencing?
Man of the Golden Gun. Scaramanga.
That film's so boring I can barely remember.
Maybe to you. I love that movie.
Well, it's a very controversial movie. A lot of the fandom regards it as one of, if not the worst film of the series.
Seriously?
I thought that was Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace is so boring.
I'll take it over Quantum of Solace. I'll take it over Thunderball. I'll take it over Diamonds Are Forever. I'll take this? Man of the Golden Gun. The one with Christopher Lee.
What the worst Bond film is depends entirely.
I thought Moonraker was considered to be one of the worst.
Oh, that too.
And Die Another Day.
So I'm curious to know, what's actually your favorite...
It depends on who you are.
Curious to know, what's actually your favorite eras of Bond?
My favorite Bond era is the Roger Moore era.
Lazenby aside...
So who played Bond during that?
Sorry, what was that, Java?
So who played Bond during the Roger Moore era?
Roger Moore.
Roger Moore.
Basically, the eras are divided by the actors who actually played Bond.
Oh, okay. And when you said Roger Moore, I thought you meant like
who played
Bond
in the Roger Moore era? George Lazenby.
Hey guys, what's Obama's last name?
Well,
Obama.
Oh, right.
Anyway, it's weird because like whenever I hear about Bond, I usually hear just 3 actors: Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig. So didn't really know about Roger Moore.
Well, that's the thing, Joe. But those are the most recognized to mass audiences. But hardcore Bond fans, of course, will also be knowledgeable of the other ones, like because Roger
Lazenby and
Moore.
Timothy Dalton.
Like Roger Moore, was the one who made the most movies as in the role.
Really?
For example.
I'm surprised that
Yes.
he's not, usually one of the big three mentioned. How odd.
Well, it's because
most of his movies were either kind of mediocre or bad.
I disagree. That's the thing. The thing about those movies that to me the Roger Moore movies are just so cheesy and so corny that it just becomes so hilarious to me. I just love those movies.
Admittedly, I can see why some people may prefer, the more substantial films over stuff that's just cheesy or whatnot. But hey, I haven't seen them,
sure.
so
Again, it depends. Like what I said about what people think their worst Bond film is. What kind of Bond film they want, again, depends entirely on the individual.
Personally, if it were up to me, every movie would be like Skyfall.
So, Dweebs, which one's your favorite Bond?
I'll be honest, Lazenby aside, I can take and pick any of them, depending on It depends on their performance in the individual
my only
movie.
problem with Daniel Craig's Bond is how I don't want to say monotones, but he doesn't really have the charm of what you expect for Bond.
Let me guess.
The
He
problem
tries
is
to
his
play
facial
it.
acting.
Let me guess. He tries to play it serious, but in doing so, he just comes off as monotone.
Yeah, like he doesn't look like egotistical
I'm
or.
pretty sure they used that explosion sound effects for
Wait,
a guy
hold
being
on.
thrown into a couple of
There's
boxes.
two of them, so shouldn't there be a third?
Yeah.
Oh.
Those aren't the three blind mice, Joe.
No, they're not. The problem with Daniel Craig is just that, don't get me wrong, he's a fine actor. It's just that the problem is that I find him to be a bit miscast in the role. I think the problem is that, like, when you take a look at Sean Connery or Pierce Brosnan, like, they look like James Brosnan, yeah, whatever. The point is, they look like how James Bond is supposed to look like, a suave British gentleman, whereas Daniel Craig looks more like a British brawler, like the kind of guy you'd see in a pub who would punch you in the face.
Bouncer.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
James Bouncer.
Oh, so,
My
okay.
favorite Square Enix game.
Oh, so let me guess. So Felix Leiter, he's from the CIA, so let me guess. He's the American rival to Bond.
More like, they're colleagues more. So, I mean, they do work together well. Although, again, the thing with Leiter is that he changes actor almost every movie.
well, that's what happens when you have a long-running franchise.
Another thing that I distinctly remember about the Bond movie is that they function perfectly as, vacation commercials for the places that they're filmed in. In this case, visit Jamaica.
I mean, Jamaica's a pretty nice place to go, not gonna lie.
Although, funny enough, Dr. No isn't the first Bond book in the series because Casino Royale is. However, as we'll explain when we get to
What is this guy dancing to? It was very ecstatic.
Yeah. Anyway, as we get to a few future films, I'll just sum it up. For the longest time, the official Bond producers couldn't make a Casino Royale film because they didn't have the rights.
Huh.
That's why we got that. It started off with that CBS climax thing we saw
with Peter Lorre.
Around. Yeah. That's funny because you mentioned Peter Lorre a lot. Yeah, you want the guy playing Bond.
I didn't know better. I just say we had our picture taken.
Yeah, it's that guy again. Seriously.
Oh,
what's up
God.
with it?
He looks like he's having the seizure dance.
And that's pretty much what he is. An extra that is being told, just dance like there's no tomorrow.
He looks like he needs help.
Jeez, you're trying to take a simple picture and all of a sudden you get to find yourself in an armrest.
Well,
So why she's having a Chinese dress?
Well, you see, my dear, we are secret agents after all.
To make her look hot too.
Oh,
We are very secret. We are secret agents.
I'm
So
Sean
we can't just have you take pictures of us.
Well, it's kind of my job.
Secret agents.
Sorry, Sean.
Well, thanks for letting me know that, a-hole. How was I supposed to know?
Oh, fine, whatever. Just don't take it out on our heads, but okay?
Sorry, that accent works better when he's older.
Well, to be fair, he is kind of using that accent now. It's weird. So before he was using a British accent, but now he's gone back to a Scottish accent.
English, you mean, Jova? Not British?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, to understand, Joe, that Scottish and English are British because they're part of. So.
Oh, I know that.
Whoa.
It's just. Oh, that looked like it had to hurt.
In the same way that, despite you guys not liking to admit, both you and Canadians are North Americans.
I love his nonchalant reaction to that. He gets his face scratched off, part of his face scratched off, and he's like, "Do you want me to break your arms?"
He's such a tough guy, so...
I'm taking this to my lawyer. If I
Sorry,
have
sweetie.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Good woman, am I right?
So about the director, Terrence Young decided to try and inject a lot of humor into the movie because he was
Yes, we
worried,
have to find out what scares these people.
because he was worried that if they played this film as straight as it was originally, he thought it would be either A, very objectionable, and it wouldn't get past the censor.
Oh, well, look at that. So the land is owned by a Chinese character, and we just met a woman
Dragon.
in a Chinese dress.
Yeah, but there's a dragon, as they call it, who burns.
But at least we know that it cannot be full and true. I think
Yeah.
around this time, we were starting to be a bit stingy with the copyright.
Seriously, talk about me accent slipping. Not that I mind, I appreciate his Scottish accent, it's just makes you wonder why he even bothered going with the English
Oh,
one
there
to
we
begin
are.
with.
Oh, you know who Ian Fleming's ideal actor play James Bond?
Who?
Oh,
Who?
David Niven.
huh.
So, ow. Thanks, Monty. I don't need those ears anyway.
Oh, I missed.
Niven would eventually play Bond in, again, that crappy parody film.
Okay, Connery?
No, Casino
No,
Royale.
that was Sean Connery's brother.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got his brother to play in a rip-off of James
Not just
Bond.
that, Trevor. Remember, they got even Adolfo Celi playing the villain.
Look at that. We have Asian Moneypenny.
Sure.
Kind of.
And now we have another actor who was also in OK Connery / Operation 007, aka Operation Kid Brother. Jesus, pick a freaking title. Anthony Dawson as Professor Dent, who is totally not evil.
Swear me, man.
So, oh my. Ah, yes. Let's see, he collects rock samples. I wonder what nefarious scheme that could
Jesus,
be
Trevor,
for.
they're minerals.
Oh, of course, how silly of me. So, Tia, was OK Connery made by Italy?
I don't remember, like...
It was, yes.
Well, that doesn't surprise me too much. Remember, it was around the time we had people like Bruno Mattei having, making all those, copycat movies with people like Frank Stallone
So
or Ed Brown.
tell me, Tio, how long until your country makes the amazing Night Monkey series?
I mean, I would never have Puma Man 2.
Imagine.
I mean, for all its silliness and everything, Puma Man is all in all an original character made by Italy. So,
All right. Speaking of the music, movie
yes,
again, now I love the James Bond theme. A lot of people, but at times I feel like they put the theme in places where I don't.
It doesn't
really
belong.
Think it belongs.
Yeah,
Get
I
it? Because
was saying
leitmotif.
partially this before. There it reminds me of that MST3K episode about that Bond spoof movie. I think it's called Agents for Hate, as an acronym, where as a joke, because they try to replicate the Bond formula almost to a T. So basically, the crew basically starts riffing off with the Bond theme, even in places where they should be. Like he's repairing a stool. Ta da ta da.
Ooh, so where's Dent going, eh?
Somewhere.
Interesting place. Somewhere.
Okay, I want to bring up a bit of a weirdness of this movie. The film's
Just
called
one.
The film's called Dr. No. And Dr. No is the main villain of the film. We don't see him until the third act.
Of course, it's like surprise reveals, I guess.
I mean, I guess they're actually no. I mean,
Also, I'm thinking.
Yeah, they
I've
probably
heard-
should have just called it James Bond.
Well,
Well, that's the thing, Deji. That was the name of the book.
I'm guessing this is why my country is called License to Kill.
We have several other movies that were from books.
yeah, Dad has a point. I mean, honestly, if you're adapting it off the book, why not have it have the same name anywhere?
Or enter, or I don't. I mean, I guess you
Well,
could. Say,
Dr. No was the name of the book. Obviously, Dr. No was the book.
Okay.
well, is Doctor No built up though?
We do
Yeah,
make
usually it was
mention of
kind
him
of-
here and
Yeah,
don't actually
like
see him
right
till
now
the
you're
third
speaking.
act.
Was kind of the kind of type of storytelling back then. Sometimes keep the main villain supposedly in the shadows until the climax. But yeah, I checked the leaves. Even the original book was translated in License to Kill in my country. So I guess it was just a matter of a literal adaptation, even in the title.
Oh dear. Now we're in. Okay. We haven't got the name of the evil organization that this guy and Dr. No work for. But first thing about this group, failure to them is a complete no-no.
Well, that and you mean just like every Bond villain was?
Well, it depends. One or two of them can be a little forgiving of failure, not by much, but a little bit. Like, he could maybe, like, fuck up what shoe he puts on, but... Okay, okay, so basically,
cute.
in another attempt to, kill Bond, they're gonna put a tarantula on.
I
That's
mean,
an adorable spider.
I haven't done a lot of research into, what's the species?
tarantulas, arachnids.
Arachnids, yeah, thank you. But from what I understand, tarantulas aren't as fatal to humans as other arachnids.
Let me put it like this. Let me
I
put it like
think it
this.
depends on the subspecies, but it's been a while since I did research on that.
Let me put it like this. Tarantulas are not poisonous. They can be dangerous, but only if they're provoked. So as long as you don't make them mad, you should be fine with them. Hence why some people, for some reason, like to keep them as pets.
Like Dr. No.
Well, in this case, it's more pragmatic. It's more like, having to do, using it as a weapon.
Let's just say they'll make a very big mess if you accidentally sit
Well,
on them.
Well, they must have been really, really worried about that tarantula because when that scene comes up, they actually had like medical staff on the set.
In case of the worst happened.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I guess,
yeah. I mean, like, a tarantula can mess you up, and it doesn't help that they can swim, too.
And the stunt guy that they got to double for Connery when they had close up shots of the tarantula on his body was apparently paid much extra.
Wow. This is before we could CGI bugs
Fair's
onto
fair.
people. But yeah, that is fair. Again, tarantulas
And
will
they
not
had they had a pane of glass in between them.
Again, tarantulas, while not the most deadly, can still be dangerous if provoked. And that includes startling.
Let me guess, that was poison in there.
That's why. Well, Java. That's why Home Alone 1 used that for good effect in the climax.
What, you mean putting the spider on the guy?
Yeah.
It was a tarantula. The movie actually specified that it was a tarantula.
Yeah.
Yep. We never see that tarantula again in Home Alone 2, so is it just roaming around in the house free after that?
Maybe.
The actor that played Merv met up with him a few years ago.
Considering how much of a repeat Home Alone 2 is, I'm surprised we didn't.
Oh,
Hello?
there's something under my sheets, and it's not a dirty joke.
Hi, I'm
Oh,
your
he just
new
wants a hug.
roommate.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Again, yeah. As Jova said, on their own, tarantulas aren't that
Yeah, we can see
equal
that
to
there's a glass.
humans. So what are they? So what are they gonna do? Are they gonna make Bond sweat to death?
Oh, again, if
Well, no, some species actually has, venom in them, but
yeah.
like I said, it's been a while since I documented myself on the matter, so I don't know which specific one may be more fatal or not.
And again, and again, and again, and again. It doesn't take too much to startle some of them. Let's not forget, spiders can be just as afraid of us as we are of them. So, yeah.
Arachnophobic Dej.
That's just creepy.
I know,
Yeah,
spiders...
I think that's the idea. The brutal murder of a spider.
Hey.
In time with the music.
Oh, that was cute.
Clearly, Alfred Hitchcock got nothing on this.
I mean, okay, I gotta say props to the actor for managing to, deal with that, because holy heck, that takes a lot of dedication.
Sorry, I had a really bad dream and involved a tarantula.
It's just how the dramatic music played when he was killing them both, like.
Yeah,
So, are we going to address the giant spider corpse in your room? Because tarantulas leave a mess when squashed, just gonna say.
No, we're not.
Okay, moving on.
Considering the Jamaican environment, it's easily dismissible as it just came from the window.
Interesting fact. At the time this film came out, reception to this film was actually mixed.
Let me
I can
guess, early
imagine.
installment weirdness, and apparently, people back then wouldn't know what it would grow to be.
What's funny? The funniest thing about the criticism this film got were comments from both the Vatican and the Kremlin.
Oh,
Wait,
what's it
seriously?
about?
The Vatican condemned this film as being a dangerous mixture of violence, vulgarity, sadism, and sex.
Why did they care?
While the Kremlin said that Bond was the personification of capitalist evil.
Well, okay, that's a bit more believable because, Soviet Union around the time wanted to be that annoying. But
Yeah.
this doesn't really have any anti-religious things. Why did the Vatican care about this?
Maybe the Soviets paid them off or something. Wouldn't surprise me during the Cold War. A lot of the petty stuff the countries would do.
There were some shady deals going on, I think. Yeah.
Anyway,
Obviously, the film getting better reception as time.
well, obviously.
Yeah. It is, I can definitely see this definitely being a much more different film than the norm back in the day. I mean, nowadays we see this kind of movie a lot more, but back then I could see how this could be an interesting change to format, which the Avengers would try to do a good riff on. And by that I mean the classic Avengers. And you're probably wondering which Avengers I'm talking about? Not the superhero types, folks.
The one from the 1960s TV show.
Mm-hmm. It was basically James Bond meets the Spice Girls.
Yeah,
That sounds like the most unappealing thing in the world.
It was an acquired taste.
I've seen it. I've seen most of one episode.
Very radioactive.
At least it's not the bloody movie.
Oh man, it's a shame the spider wasn't radioactive, and it could have given him spider powers.
That's not how it works.
So yeah. So yeah, Dent's been lying to him.
Dun,
Oh,
dun,
no,
dun.
Also, I'm afraid
There's
we'll
a
all be
lot of-
more sterile now.
There's a lot of radioactive stuff coming back from this Crab Key place.
A dragon.
Dragon.
So,
I love Bond's being like, what? A dragon. I mean, considering how wacky the series would get later on, a dragon's not that far off.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dubs. The idea of James Bond taking on a dragon sounds pretty cool.
I mean, hey, he
Is it any
came.
less silly than Bond going to space?
Hey, at least we can say James Bond served in King Arthur's court at one time. I'm guessing no one else has seen a Kid in King Arthur's Court.
Oh, I've seen it. I didn't like it.
I know what joke you're making. Daniel Craig was in it. I know.
Actually, I didn't.
Wait, he was in that movie?
Yep.
Yeah, he was.
He plays the
You'll be
buffoon in that
surprised
movie. Well, okay, maybe not the complete
before his
buffoon,
Bond
but-
career. Before his Bond career, Daniel Craig had a very interesting career.
yeah.
Very
He was in the
interesting.
he was in the first Tomb Raider movie.
That too, yeah.
Of course.
Dude, it's been a while since I've seen that movie. I just remember not liking it that much.
Oh,
I mean, it's better than Black Knight, the Martin Lawrence movie. But
Oh,
That's because it's a crap movie.
I mean, Tomb Raider, the first one was a fun puzzle.
Oh, no, I was talking about Kid in King Arthur's Court.
Oh yeah, I love the first Tomb Raider movie. It's just the right amount of stupid
I
action.
know, I'm being cold.
We. Magenta Drive. That's the name of a street.
That doesn't sound ominous at all. Speaking of which, we haven't dealt yet again with that camera woman. I wonder what she's up to. Also, totally not CGI background.
I think
you mean
around
green
this time
screen.
Green
Green.
Actually, around this time it was a blue screen.
Yeah, blue screen.
Blue
Sorry,
screen.
Joe, but back in 1962 there was no CGI.
Yeah. That's just my default way of saying. But yeah, totally not blue screened.
Well, that was the best way you could do these things back in the day.
It's weird though, because
Honestly,
like,
I'm not giving too flack for products doing that. Hell,
no
even Murder
flack.
She Wrote kept doing that in the early 90s.
What is that face?
I love that
He's
psychotic.
enjoying it way too
I love
much.
that psychotic grin he gives.
And literally every single driving scene in Seinfeld also used this technique.
You know, one of these days, if I ever have a son, I hope that I have adventures just as zany with him.
Are you talking about James Bond Jr.?
No, I'm talking
it's
about Indiana Jones.
Jones.
Hey, how did you know, Pedro?
I'm a big indie fan. I know.
To
what
be
you're
fair,
talking about.
because we're watching 007,
Ooh.
that's what I thought of first.
I never saw James Bond Jr. How is
And
that?
Don't.
It's terrible.
Oh,
And everyone died.
so what? Is James Bond Jr. like the Ace Ventura Jr. of the series?
Don't worry, Teo. Fortunately, we operate on the same
The
logic.
car was evacuated.
No. Fortunately, Teo, we operate on the same logic as the Red Brown Captain America movies. So
I'm sure they're okay. They probably.
Da, 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 da.
You
There
see,
we
if this
go.
was Yakuza, they'd be okay.
There we go. The iconic Bond one-liners.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
Yes.
James, Bond just escorted some men who are on their way to a funeral. Their own.
he knows he's seen this movie plenty of times.
Actually, Pedro, I have seen this a few times, but this is one of
Of
the films
course, she goes to open in.
But this is one of the films I rewatched the least, to be honest. I mean, it does a good job setting up the formula, but other films would go on to perfect it, so that's why I watched those ones more than this.
All right.
That's a lie, Bond, and you know it.
I'm sorry, this does not. If this was today.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bond. That's sexual harassment, and I don't
Yeah.
have to take it.
Yeah.
It's the 60s, it was a different time.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
mean, yeah, but one thing I do appreciate when they re-release these films, they don't, like, mess around with them, because that's what what stuff was like at the time. To pretend it didn't happen would be to suggest it didn't happen.
It's like
You hear
the
that, Warner
more.
Brothers?
You hear that?
It's like
EA?
the more racist cartoons made like during the propaganda era that if released today usually have that disclaimer, before starting.
Yeah, that's why I hate Warner Brothers nowadays. Because back in the early 2000s, when they were releasing stuff like the Looney Tunes Golden Collection, and later on the Tom and Jerry Platinum Collection, Unfortunately, they didn't release Volume 2 of that because there were concerns about the racist stereotypes.
Which is weird
again,
because, around the same time, they had actually released the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Free, which actually did include that stuff, despite it, complete with the message from Whoopi Goldberg and everything, talking about how they still intended to
What a
have that
classy
still
man.
there.
Okay, so when I was watching Brain Scratch Com's Gex 2 playthrough, Lewis mentions the 007 books, and he said that in one of them, James Bond has sex with a lesbian, and then she turns straight because of it.
I don't remember that, honestly.
And I'm like, what? But apparently, because it was the time, like Ian Fleming way was a really product of his time back in the.
I honestly don't remember that to be.
Among many other things. You mustn't get my nail varnish all dirty. Now, back to business.
Yeah. Alright, don't worry, I'll make sure you get home safe and sound.
So, she's the camera woman from earlier. Of course they ended up sexing. Why am I not surprised? Dang! First you booked me in bed, and now you're going to book me?
There's a bit of an echo, sorry. Oh.
I feel so betrayed! I gave you my everything!
Exactly.
And he's had butter.
Damn.
No, sorry, honey, but there's only one woman that James Bond ever truly loved in his life.
Moneypenny?
And the sad part, no, not Moneypenny. The sad part, Joe, is that the one movie where they did something really to mix things up, where James Bond for the first time really met a woman that he genuinely loved, was specifically with the worst actor, George Lazenby.
Oh.
And
Lazenby.
Wait, that's the Pierce Brosnan movie, right?
No. George Lazenby is from the 70s, I think.
No. On the Majesty's Secret Service, that was 1969.
1969. George Lazenby was the worst James Bond ever, to the point where he got fired right after one movie, and they gave Sean Connery.
Actually, he quit on the advice of his agent, who thought this film series wouldn't survive past the 60s.
Well then,
wow.
So much so that the producers got desperate and they handed Sean a blank check. There you go. Just please, we'll give you how much money you want. Just please come back for one more movie at least while we find somebody else.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that movie was Diamonds Are Forever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I wonder, are those movies all in the same continuity as each other, or was it a case where the new actor was attempting a reboot, and so Diamonds is back in the old continuity?
All of the movies before Casino Royale were in the same continuity.
Huh, so different actors but same continuity. I mean, I guess that could work, but knowing how things were back then, that sounds like it has the potential to be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it was.
Now we're going to get to one of the more iconic scenes in this movie.
All right.
Well, that's the thing, Joe.
Solitaire.
Huh.
Well, that's the thing, Joe. But the biggest problem with the Bond franchise is not so much continuity issues. It's more the lack of consistency in direction.
You fell for the old blow up.
You fell for the old mess around with the sheets trick.
I mean, Ribs, remember, he fooled in the nut school. I guess he can fool even this guy.
Maybe.
Oh, she did more than just talk, my dear boy.
Wait, that was his wife?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Sleeping with a villain's wife, that's just wrong.
Okay, Bond, how do you not see that?
but before, very clever, Mr. Bond.
Murdered by the 3 blind mice? Wrong, gone. And this scene demonstrates another one of Bond's
How does someone not even
Counts.
know the type of
Oh,
gun
he
he's
shot
using?
him in the butt.
Yeah, there's another one of Bond's character traits. His sheer ruthlessness when it comes to killing his enemies.
Hey, he's pragmatic. Come on.
Also,
it's
I
not so
love
much
how
that,
he can
it's more
count
that they
too.
have- It's more so that the weapon didn't have any ammo.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, the big problem with the Bond franchise in general, Joe, is not so much continuity. It's more so the fact that the franchise throughout the years has never been able to just pick a fucking direction and stick with it. Some movies will be comedic, other movies will be serious, other movies will try to have a balance.
I mean,
There's no consistency.
The
They,
Daniel Craig films are all in one continuity.
They are.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't
the
that pretty
Craig
much
films
the
are-
case with most of them when they have a running actor?
If we presented it from the get-go as an anthology, more of a like, I could have seen, the excuse being used for the tonal difference, but a lot of times they want to, be tied to each other.
Also, all of the Daniel Craig movies, Deji, still have different. Because Casino Royale was super serious. Then we have Quantum of Solace, which was cheesy
boring.
again.
Was really boring. I don't
And
even remember if it was serious or not.
Then we have Skyfall, which tried to have a balance of the two extremes. And then we have Spectre, which tried to be an update of the old 1960s formula.
Here's the thing that the movies never explain. What happened to all the love interests?
I hear they often die.
They all get dumped or killed.
Yeah. Well, Dejimon, Her Majesty's Secret Service, that's the reason.
Basically, the one woman that James Bond doesn't fall in love with in that movie, she gets killed.
Spoilers.
I'm probably gonna regret asking, but what continuity is James Bond Jr. alluding to?
Just shut up already.
Just ignore it.
Stop. Never bringing it up.
But yeah, that's the thing, Jova. Even though every single Daniel Craig movie is in continuity, is part of the same continuity, and again, aside from the Casino Royale was the reboot point. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
The problem is that even if the movies are in continuity with each other, they still have wildly different styles, wildly different tones. And that's the big problem. What the Bond? I was talking to Dibs.
I think this is actually the shot that I actually remember.
Yeah, this is where Ursula.
Yeah.
Up.
Let's
Ursula Andress.
Let's get back to the movie now. Ursula Andress, he plays Honey Rider in this movie. And has such an iconic look that her bikini has its own Wikipedia page.
Really?
Seriously?
I am not kidding.
I mean, don't get me wrong, she really is hot, and my country actually kind of knows her because some of her more recent, some of the last roles that she actually had in career, she's still alive at the time of this recording, mind you, but some of her last roles in her career at the end of the 90s were actually done for a series of Italian fantasy movies called Fantaghiro. So, interesting.
Oh, and again,
so I'm sorry, Debut Gill was enough for me. I don't want to hear Sean Connery singing ever again. Thank you.
Honey Riders voice was dubbed over by the same actress who dubbed over the woman at the casino earlier.
Huh.
Not confusing at
This
all.
movie has a hard on
Nikki
for
Van
dubbing
Ders.
over voices, it seems.
Nikki Van Ders Eye does the voice, and the singing was done by someone named Diana Coupland. Funnily enough,
Okay, I believe you.
when Ursula,
Keyblade. Okay.
Yes, Lives.
Funny enough, when Ursula Andress appeared in the 1967 Casino Royale spoof film, she got to keep her own voice.
I guess dubbing over her here was just, superfluous.
Maybe. But Ursula Andress is a Swiss actress.
Yeah, it was kind of the odd thing around the time, Lives, hiring Swiss actresses for, having them as hot models.
What is it with Switzerland?
I guess the mountain climate favors beauty.
I guess. Though going off of Axis Italia powers, you'd think it would be Ukraine that has the favorable message. Bump, bump.
So here they are. They're on Crab Key, and they're gonna try and confront the dragon.
I
don't
love
know how Bond established clearly that the air around is very radioactive according to his Geiger count, but we're conveniently ignoring the more pesky effects of radiation, so everyone is not sterile, thankfully.
that knife must come in handy for you. I love how she's the first woman on the cover of this movie.
Yeah, I think the enemy has spotted them, but we can't. Yeah, that's the thing though. $1.1 million by this point, even for early '60s action films, was a bit cheap. Apparently, they even had to just to film the climax, they had to ask the film's distributor, in this case back in the day United Artists, for extra money.
Huh.
Can it echo again?
How can you fire if you if you can't hit?
Maybe they'll shout really loud through the boom mic. The megaphone, sorry. Oh. Okay, so they'll use that then. Yeah. Okay, movie. You are actually really engaging, and you are doing a really good job of keeping us invested for the first film, the soon to be long running series. And you're doing a good job keeping the stakes up. But question.
Yes.
Where's the villain?
He got lost on his plane. He'll be here any minute.
That's the thing. That so far, we've only heard. He was only heard one scene where he was talking to the totally not a bad guy about the deadly tarantula, but he hasn't been heard from since.
Don't worry, Dwez, I think we're trying to go for the Dr. Claw effect.
But we don't even see his hand.
Yeah, that's the biggest. Like, well, he's only had one thing. Like, at least Dr. Claw makes something of a presence. Also, kudos on the movie for not killing the black guy yet.
But yeah, like I was saying, that's the thing. That's the big problem with the James Bond series, Joe. But and I was talking to Dwebs earlier before we even commented on this. What the Bond series needs after Daniel Craig officially retires is to reinvent itself, restructure itself, and just have a Kevin Feige equivalent, someone who will just stay there and keep, even with different directors and writers, make sure that the franchise remains consistent in direction instead of just being so haphazard and completely changing it almost all the time.
Huh. I guess
For a while, they seemed like they were trying to do something like that with having Sam Mendes and John Logan writing and directing respectively 2 movies back to back, but then they stopped.
So
sadly.
this woman, is she supposed to be an island native or something?
Let me check what nationality.
I love how the actress herself said that she owes her career to that white bikini.
Books.
Dibs, you're cutting out. You might want to restart
What?
Discord. Sorry.
Okay.
Hey, now. Hey, now.
Yeah.
Well, in the books, Honey Rider's supposed to be Jamaican.
Huh.
Hmm.
Not in this movie, apparently.
Yeah, I cut out there, but I'm back now.
Also, where the heck did she get that outfit from?
I don't know.
Well, remember she took a swim. She probably had the shirt somewhere, probably.
True.
I guess. Convenience. So, again, though, is she like an island native here?
Well, that's the thing. As I was trying to say earlier, she's in the book. She's Jamaican, but her nationality in the movie isn't really made clear.
So, are we just
Of
to assume
course,
that she's just a white island native here, complete with a knife and everything for
No. Remember, Joe, but she just comes here to get shells. Apparently, that's the thing. It's
Yeah. You may have seen from their scuba mask and also Doggo and the knife. She was hunting down shells.
Oh boy, German Shepherds.
Here's the problem: dogs cannot actually, smell someone's smell in the water. So I don't know what the fuck are we doing.
I guess they wanted to see if maybe they were hiding across.
sorry, Taylor. It looks like nobody told the filmmakers that.
Although, to be fair, I guess we can assume that they tracked their scent to the water at least.
No, what are you doing, man? Sorry.
Was a monkey. Also, it's a good thing that the water wasn't that transparent in that point.
Also, good thing there's nothing dangerous in the water.
That's a good thing they didn't
Well,
decide
it's
to
a
walk near
remote-
that water.
It's a remote island, so I'm guessing there are no things like crocodiles.
Crocodiles love to hang out at remote islands. Uh-oh. You know, this reminds me of the origins of the Wilhelm scream actually were started because of a guy who gave the famous scream when he was bitten on by a crocodile.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Star Wars is where that originated, but no, it was actually just a guy getting eaten by a crocodile.
Yeah, the sheer coincidence of them recording that screen must have been really great timing.
It was. Peekaboo.
I'm sorry. This music's so hilarious.
I love how she just cups her
Again, we need
hands
to
in her
convey
face.
that. I wanted to say once again that the brutal murder of the tarantula had a more intense music than this.
That tarantula had a family, dang it. Granted, they probably were trying to eat each other, but a family still.
Well, Taylor, like Dibs was saying, we still haven't seen the villain. So as far as up until this point, the tarantula was the most.
Oh, guys,
was
I
almost
want
threatening
guys.
enemy
Do
so far.
not pass this
I wonder
point.
if we should go here.
Why not?
You know, a little shirtless shot for the ladies.
And
Sure, why not?
some of the ladies and some of the men.
She's not wearing. Well, actually, is she wearing the bikini?
I don't think she's wearing any more, since she's not anymore wearing her bikini.
It's amazing how fast this shirt dried up.
The dragon.
Oh my god, you're right, Dash.
Yeah. Dragon tracks, eh?
Baby. Ooh. Dragon tracks. Ah.
Wait, why are we quiet? Well, we're hunting dragons.
If we're being quiet.
Well,
was it that-
someone has to arrest him, honey.
What, the dragon?
No, Doctor, no.
My
Doctor,
parents are
They...
Jova, Doctor Who.
Oh no! Don't you see Dr. No killed this girl's parents? What a coinky dink! We're also here to
Also,
get Dr. No.
I'm still surprised we don't have still an official Doctor Who and 007 crossover.
It's too obvious.
Well, why not? Might as well.
You know, be really...
Either that or someone hasn't come up with a good story.
How about a James Bond and the Avengers crossover?
Which
No.
Avengers?
Eh?
No,
Which Avengers?
it has to be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Actually, John was referring to the 60s series.
I guess either could work, but yeah, it would probably be more realistic to expect it to be with the British one.
Jova, we got that. Is a problem. It was the 1998 Avengers movie.
Huh. Wait. But James Bond wasn't in that movie.
Sean Connery was.
No,
Oh,
James.
God, he was. That's right.
Is that movie any good?
No.
It's awful.
It was
It's
terrible.
boring at best.
Let me put it like this,
Sorry,
Deji.
Deji.
Let me put it this, Deji. That movie is part of the reason that Sean Connery eventually quit college. Now, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was the final straw, but Avengers was apparently the start of it.
Also,
Let me put it like this,
Also,
Deds. There's literally a scene where Sean Connery dresses up as a giant teddy bear,
cute.
and you're supposed to take that seriously.
She put a Black Widow spider.
Anyway, yes, Pager?
Also, I'm sorry, James, but Kingston just couldn't help. I mean, Kingston is just a company that makes USB sticks, so it just doesn't work.
What are USB sticks?
Oh.
Yeah.
Not quite. Not quite yet.
Oh.
Something coming.
Something even this way comes.
Maybe it's
Also,
like in the 13th Warrior where they believe it's a dragon, but it's a series of
Actually,
hairy men with furs
Also,
binding torches.
honestly, it reminds me more of the DVD and Blu-ray releases of seasons 1 through 3 of South Park, where you have Trey and Matt doing those little skits before the episode.
Also,
And
I
that-
appreciate your respect, man, but my rank is not captain. It's 8.
Actually, I don't think I've ever seen those, Pedro.
I'll show you on YouTube after this.
Oh,
Sure.
No, it's the dragon.
Clearly.
Dr. Draken.
It's not the
Oh,
dragon.
oh.
I get it, Whips. I get it.
Oh
look,
my.
it's that
It's
does
a monster truck.
that looks like a fire-breathing kit.
Get it,
Oh,
guys?
shit.
From Knight Rider.
Yeah.
It's the dragon.
It actually reminds me like a more, gigantic in size models of the
Actually-
Robot Wars contestants.
Actually, now that I think about it, there you go.
Coral,
Whips.
Coral, where the fuck are you going?
Actually, now that I think about it, Whips, here's a better crossover. James Bond with the Knight Rider. Could you imagine James Bond driving the kit car? That would be amazing.
Oh, that would be an amazing crossover. Just don't make
Yeah,
it.
clearly shoot at the armored vehicle. That will
Yes.
clearly do something.
Coral, you might want to get back.
Look out!
Shoot
the
at
dragon's
the lights,
coming.
you idiots.
My vision is
Okay,
impaired. I
good.
cannot see.
Wait, what?
Wait. Hold on. You were frightened, so you came closer towards the dragon. That's good logic.
That doesn't make any sense.
Coral,
Sorry, Jova.
And Cora's dead. It's okay. We got the hot chick at least.
and we got the hot.
I
Jova.
guess the agents of
Well-
AIM were into this.
Well, Jova, the guy's hot now too.
Yeah, true.
Ha. Yes, he's hot to a crisp. I know you like your dark meat black, but this is just sad.
Shut
You
up.
said it.
That was bad.
Yes, that was.
Like Jova, just for that pun, I'm thinking of a amazing punishment for you by the time this commentary.
Oh, ha.
punishment.
Very funny, Dwibs.
Okay,
Oh,
Come on, let's go around. We can't go barbecuing you all if you don't settle down now. Ooh, spicy.
oh.
I told you to come along nicely.
Really, just a simple bonk to the head. It's like Tintin.
The mighty James Bond. Let him go! And let's never mind the
I'm
fact that...
serious.
I love the fact that they didn't even bother handcuffing her. They're just dragging
Mind
him.
you,
Jesus Christ.
this was also a thing around that time, a good, narrative.
I don't get why they didn't just kill him on sight.
Good
Well,
question.
They
Well,
killed the other guy.
Well, this is basically where we get introduced to a series of tropes. So the
Blonde
most
villain
infamous-
stupidity, I know.
It practically coined it, but
But this one is more plot armor than anything.
Get it? Because there's an armored tank.
Okay, so basically they're quite a bit radioactive because of them being exposed to the radiation.
that means I'm radioactive. That can be good.
So they have to be
Cleaning them
doused.
off with milk now, are we? That looks like milk.
This is what people thought that radiation was all about back in the day.
If this is a Michael Bay movie, you know for a fact this would be a lot more sexualized. The scene.
Like the island.
No, like them being expert.
This brings up a good point, Dwebs. This is a 1960s movie.
Wait, Dwebs brings up a good point.
Sorry,
Dwebs.
not Dwebs, Deji, sorry. Deji brings up a good point. Despite this being a 60s Bond movie, it's still less shameless than a Michael Bay movie. That's sad.
Hey, look at that, Austin Styles' powers of
Pretty much.
censorship.
Like, let's be honest, the whole showering thing sequence is unnecessary other than to give fan service to the viewer of all gender, pretty much.
But that's the thing, Deji. If Michael Bay made a Bond movie, he would have the Bond girl constantly leave in slow motion, all hot from cars.
I think we sneaked in like a 1 second of nudity.
We did.
Actually, guys, she was wearing a skin-colored bra.
Yeah, and just like that, we're pretty clear. No radiations anymore. We're fine.
Girl. Now
If I understood correctly, all you have to do is take a shower, and all radiation from your body just disappears.
Well, don't you see?
Sounds legit.
Well, don't you see, Paige? They first sprayed them with some white liquid, which again looks a lot like milk. But let's just say it's cleansing fluid.
What's that you were saying, Dibs, about the Connery movies being less silly?
Well, that was more one of the low-key silly moments.
Okay. Honestly, James, I think they're James.
At least they had the courtesy to give them, bathrobes.
I think James Bond is best when it embraces the silliness, but can still be serious.
Yeah, so
Agreed.
The level you're thinking of is called sincerity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It knows that
hello.
it's silly, but it does take it. It takes the situation serious.
I can think of a few films, Joe, that you'll like, but I can also think of a few films you won't like. But I won't list them because for all I know, I could be wrong.
It sounds like James Bond is definitely a series that has definitely its ups and downs and all arounds.
Well, yeah, what series doesn't?
True.
But hey, I gotta say, Dr. No, for all his evilness, he runs a very nice hotel.
Yeah.
Are we finally gonna meet the guy?
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, I'm okay with them sometimes bringing the villain in late if it's done well. It's just, man, really calling this guy Dr. No? That's like calling your movie Freddy Got Fingered and not having any actual Freddy getting fingered until near the end of the movie.
Or American Pie, where Jason Briggs doesn't have sex with a pie until like halfway through the movie. I'm not wrong.
I'd say it works best when you're doing it to the Jaws effect, where the person in question is there, just in the shadows often.
I mean, another thing that bothers me a little bit about the severe lack of the title character of this film.
Like I said, Reeves, I'm pretty sure that's also
Spectre?
the reason why my country translated it with something more neutered.
Is that part of Spectre's motivation in the next movie was to get revenge for Dr. No's death?
Mm-hmm.
Even though, from what we've seen this so far, he's not all that effective at his job.
What are you saying,
And
Chris? Dr. No is...
I thought Spectre don't like failure.
What are you saying, Dwibs? Dr. No is quite clearly the most effective villain he has on the Force.
Also depends. It's possible that Dr. No is a valuable asset, so they prefer to,
What? Well,
maybe they don't have a replacement, in case it fails.
honestly, Jed, the only real value I can think of is that he runs a really nice hotel.
Well,
Maybe
that
that
hotel was
maybe-
very good for conducting our villainous business.
Go somewhere else.
Oh dear, you've been affected by the Thanos snap, dearie.
You mean a bleep?
I hate that name so much.
Oh.
Oh dear. The tea was chucked.
Oh my god, Dave, he killed them with tea!
Again, just and this time it actually paid off. So that's another example of a oh my god, Dwibs! I just realized
What?
the villain is still more credible than the villains of Phantom Menace because they actually did poison the tea.
But funny enough, Pedro, that was actually one of them alternate ending fan videos for Star Wars that I watched.
It's
I always love those. A little bit of absurdity, but it's funny.
Obi-Wan and
At least
Oh,
they had the
boy.
decency to tug them into bed.
Aw, how cute.
Nice nipples, Mr. Bond.
Now I shall have sex
Who
with
are
you
you to
and
judge,
wait.
Luis?
What?
Yeah, he has no.
So you just came here to check on his nipples?
It's like that mysterious man in Fateful Findings.
Boy, Dr. No has a very weird agenda,
It's seriously
Dwibs.
like that guy in Fateful Findings. He just appears and then disappears through editing shot.
Believe it or not, guys, that was Dr. No.
Imagine so.
So yeah, first time we see him on screen is just him checking out Bond's chest.
You know, I
Ooh,
seem to notice
scary.
that you seem to run into me quite naked quite often, dearie.
I could kill you right now while in your sleep, but
I mean, the fact that he didn't kill them with the tea kind of shows that he is plans for
Nice
them. Hello. Ahem. I'm sure she is.
it's just helping her button up. Come on.
Come on, Joey, be so considerate, you pig.
Yeah, just wait till he presses her buttons.
Pig!
I mean, it's James
He
Bond.
almost tripped!
What? What the heck?
When he was walking on the rug, he almost tripped. You didn't see that?
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah.
You could have done another take.
It's the 60s. We're gonna run
Apparently
with it,
not.
dang it.
But Joe, there were such things as takes in the 60s.
I guess they thought it would add character to Bond.
So,
what,
are they
what,
wearing...
What, him,
There were-
what, him,
Why is everything made of copper?
Joe, what character?
Because it
him
was
being-
cheaper than gold.
To show
Joe,
that.
Not just
Joe, what character? Him being clumsy and tripping over nothing.
Well, it's to show that
Not
he's
just-
not invincible to everything.
I mean, at first I thought it would have been brass, but brass is a more fake gold-like appearance.
still-
This is clearly copper.
It still look visually memorable too. Because
Oh,
the Bond,
it
the older
clearly
Bond,
is.
the older Bond movies always try to have a memorable visual style.
That's thanks to the production designer at the time, Ken Adam.
Hey, this looks like one of the sets from Batman.
So why they
the
wearing
60s
Japanese
show.
attire?
Actually, that's Chinese.
China. My apologies.
Again, Dr. No is really diverse.
More like Dr. Know-It-All.
No, that you just
Dr. Know-How.
Oh, what an amazing
A giant,
projection!
Giant
Yeah.
piranhas?
With giant fishes that are clearly supposed to be small, but are just, having been closed up.
Have any of you guys ever watched Alex Rider?
And then,
$1 million, Mr.
and
Bond.
there he is, finally gracing us with his presence. 22 minutes before the film ends, is Dr. No, played by Joseph Wiseman.
Huh, fitting, because he looks like an average Joe.
Boo.
Well, look at him.
But before I kill you, Mr. Bond, Allow me to talk about my evil plan in detail.
There's even one of the black cards of Cards Against Humanity that has these as a prompt.
But first of all, let me give you a survey about your stay at my hotel.
It's important for future customers.
You must fill out a survey for that, Mr. Bond.
Lemon peel.
And I can imagine the survey. Well, I must say your facilities were rather nice. Just a pity we had to go through radioactive wastelands to get here.
Gotta love that despite the fact that their previous drink have been drugged, they have no real, hesitation in drinking these two.
I guess Dr. No knows he's got them, so of course he wants them to savor and bask in his glory, complete with a portrait of himself. Holy
So
cow.
let me get this straight. You were poisoned by the tea earlier from this guy, and now you're just willing to once again drink something that he offered to you. So you've learned nothing, James.
Yeah, I think he's a fierce.
Aw, his backstory. So he was the child of a German missionary
German
and a Chinese girl.
Chinese. Interesting mix.
Because we're all right. Because we're racists.
Oh, no.
Well,
Actually,
I
it
can
sounds
see
like they're
something
very
like that
culturally
happening,
varied since they actually
oh.
tested him. Are you suggesting that me spraying milk on showering you wasn't the most efficient means of decontamination?
No, it wasn't.
Ha! A fool you are, then!
Well, Deji, in this movie, it works. So sure.
It just works, like the purge.
Oh.
Yeah, so many far the audience show up. He's known to so many people, despite supposed to be part of a secretive villainous organization, but he doesn't show up half the time.
Of course, he's one of those super villains where they can just nuke their own lair if they want and transfer to another.
Gotta have
Spectre
that
pays.
self-destruct on hand.
I guess Spectre really pays well.
I
You
suppose.
must.
But she's a witness, Mr. Bond.
She's seen too much.
Woman, let's just get her out.
Yeah, you had to open your big fat mouth, didn't you, Bond? So yeah, for once, Bond's negotiation doesn't go very well.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
Wah, wah.
Yes.
Yeah, put the table knife back. So yeah, so
And
wait.
the fork.
Villain,
Yeah, we can't all be
villain?
geniuses. Says the guy who makes a giant weather machine.
so Doctor No has no hands, by the way. Yeah, another trademark of the series. Just all the villains have this weird disfigurement of them.
Yeah.
It makes
The
him
only-
evil.
The only one I can think off the top of my head that doesn't have a weird disfigurement is the villain of Quantum of Solace.
Well, did Goldfinger have one?
I forgot. Does Alec Trevelyan have any handicap?
Yeah, remember Alec Trevelyan at the beginning of GoldenEye somehow survives the gigantic explosion of a facility. I still don't know how that happened.
Okay.
Sorry,
But he,
sorry,
but he,
please.
but he survived half of it.
I forgot.
So yeah, the name of the organization that Dr. No works for, Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, Extortion, otherwise known as Spectre,
Of which the most recent movie was named after.
aka the organization that the official Bond series could only use for a few movies because copyright.
Oops.
Like I said, what was Goldfinger's disfigurement? I don't remember him having one.
Jesus.
Well, he's way too obsessed with gold.
That's not really a disfigurement.
Gold.
He's really, really old. Ooh.
Also, God, I forgot his name. And Jaws doesn't count because he becomes a good
He's
guy
an
at the end of that
henchman.
movie.
But
The villain of
Jaws is in 2
Moonraker.
movies.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about Moonraker. The villain of Moonraker didn't have that either.
Aside from the supposed immortality, did Baron Samedi have any handicaps?
Not that I remember.
He's incapable of appearing in more than one movie, despite the fact that he survived at the end.
Maybe it
We
was
won't
like
get
that.
away with this.
Maybe it was like that British villain from Person of Interest that only showed up on one episode that they were clearly intending to save for a later season, but Warner Brothers happens.
Sorry, Mr. Bond. This is a British movie, so the Americans are kind of useless.
Except Felix Leiter, who doesn't appear in the next movie.
Oh,
And by the time he does, he turns into a completely different guy.
Is it sad that the scene in I Am Here ... Now was a more believable beatdown than that scene there?
that's already 2 new comparisons, so that's not good movie.
Well,
God.
here's the big difference, Teo. These guys were limited back in the day. Neil is only limited his budget.
Oh my god. Now you got me imagining a James Bond and Neil Breen crossover film.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
Oh, God.
And now you have me imagining Neil Breen playing James Bond.
What
Oh,
the fuck?
Okay. So
I
going
get
through the pen
rigging.
won't work.
I get rigging your ventilation shaft, but you can actually not jump scare people.
Well, I guess that's one way to get around that.
Okay. Yes, the classic, the old shoe technique.
just to see if they'll shoot.
Or if it'll just randomly explode.
What's this?
Oh.
Someone may have
So-
shot the vent open for him.
Actually, though, Joe, that I think the exploding vent trick to prevent your enemies from escaping only works
Yeah.
once, so they can just try
Again, much like in No Country for Old Men. Good thing this vent is so wide that Bond can very easily crawl through it. He's not even all that tight. This is a very, very wide vent.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
we've seen so far in this movie, you think this is your biggest issue?
No, but
is
I'm
that a
just
good
pointing it
idea,
out because
James?
It's interesting.
I mean, it's a thing that will be carried on even in stuff like Mission Impossible.
But now it's just.
And
but
we
now
all
that
love
particular-
those movies because
but
it's
now
the
that
only thing we can tolerate Tom Cruise in.
But now that particular part of the vent is now just barely big enough for him.
was
Someone
that
activated
sound
their
effect?
blaster.
Oh,
Set phasons to stun.
We're not at Moonraker yet, guys. Calm down.
Wait, seriously, they have sci-fi in a James Bond movie?
They do,
Yes.
Jova. Basically, Moonraker is when Bond goes to space. There's laser guns. There's Jaws, who's a guy with steel teeth.
It sounds like a
Jaws was in the
recipe for
Well,
disaster.
Jaws was in the previous movie too, the
What's
one
that?
before that.
Yeah.
like, is that hot?
Isn't Jaws the guy who becomes a good guy eventually?
Yeah, he does. He does.
He even gets his own love interest.
Yeah,
Didn't he die in
braces.
Moonraker though?
No, he didn't. He survived in a pod, basically.
Summer.
Let's just hope this was not back for water.
Yeah, I guess it was time to flood the vents with water, I guess.
And now we're gonna flood it with steam.
Of course.
I
Well,
mean,
that's the thing
I
is,
guess
remember,
steam
the
can be
surface,
lethal if it's
the
so hot.
surface, no, that's the thing.
It was the
surface
chefs
is-
that were doing this.
Yeah, the surface is hot, so when the water passed over, the one that remained started evaporating immediately.
Dr. No, braving through the vents.
This is this is the action climax of the movie, Jova.
Of course.
Not yet. Actually, no.
Well, of course not. Then Bruce
Just
will...
kick it.
Of
Kick
cour-
it.
Go on, kick
Oh,
it.
he needs to study the surrounding first.
What if it explodes again?
No, he'll just kick it.
Okay then.
Wow,
So
these are the shittiest vents ever. They're so easy to.
Break,
it's
yeah.
a break.
I guess back in the 60s... Actually, no! Vents were kind of crappy back in the 60s.
Okay. Now we're back in the
Well, why is he saying
decontamination chamber.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot a plan for what to do when I get out of the vent. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
Let's see if that
Hey,
henchman
look, a
has just the
conveniently
right
expendable
fitting
book
outfit.
with a hazmat suit just the size of me.
Yeah.
Shh, go to sleep, little duckling. Go to sleep.
I'm not a doctor.
Where you're going, it won't matter, darling.
That suit looks so goofy.
Truth be told, around this time, anti-radiation equipment was this kind of,
Yeah.
imperfect.
That actually is authentic-looking radiation
And as you
equipment,
can
believe it or not.
imagine, it was equally ineffective a lot of times.
Wow. Oh my gosh, guys. Dr. No's finally here. We only see him every 5 years.
I know, right? It must be really important.
It's like that CEO that goes to do some inspections, checks, like once every 5 years or something.
Guys, is it just me or is our new henchman 1 inch taller than regulation?
Ah, that can't be possible. His outfit fits him just fine, like last time.
I'll also help that for the people behind the console. All we need to do to be shielded by the radiation was just having the plastic helmet.
Jeva, in terms of like disguises that shouldn't fool people but does, I'm not sure. I'd love to see your reaction when we get to what you only live twice.
Let me guess. Incredibly lame disguise there?
You'll see.
Man, Dej, the Netflix Chernobyl series is actually different than what I expected.
It's also interesting how nobody notices that there's someone who in this room who shouldn't be here, even though he's
And
literally
he's
right
not
there.
And not when he's not following orders, because I'm pretty sure that for an operation like this, every role is important, and no one should be just fucking around.
Oh, there's Chang. Ah, there we go.
So this is what happened to Chang from Tintin. Okay.
He got knocked out by
Became a
James Bond,
Bond.
who stole his outfit.
Became a Bond henchman who got killed.
That's what we should have. Guys, we should have a crossover with where Tintin and Bond go on a mission together.
By the
It
way,
would be. It would be
shouldn't
Tin. Sorry, go ahead.
shouldn't I be fighting someone right now?
It would be Tintin in Britain, where he meets 007 somewhere in the story.
Yeah, but Bond, despite him being a well-known quote-unquote secret agent, he does more secret agent work than Tintin does journalism.
Hey, look, some stock footage.
Danger level 25.
Okay.
But it's always
Danger level,
but that danger level it doesn't even move. Like, are you telling me that the danger level is always 25 at all times?
Actually,
It never changes.
what I'm thinking is that the 25 represents the hazard point, while the actual the actual recording is the bar that was under the arrow. Okay.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure. I forgot. I'll be honest, guys. I forgot what Doctor No's evil plan was actually supposed to be. I know. I forgot Wikipedia page.
Nuclear.
Actually,
He's gonna nuke the world because it's evil or some shit like that.
Actually, no.
So
Go
what's
on.
his plan?
According to Wikipedia,
See, there you go, Peter. Sorry, it's that bar under it. It's
he's
the
going
pressure.
to disrupt the Project Mercury space launch from Cape Canaveral with his radio beam.
Oh, so he's planning to nuke
And
America.
that will accomplish what exactly?
Disrupt
Well,
the...
it will hinder the American technological progress, I guess.
Let me guess.
Okay.
Because it's because he's with China, who was a part of the communist side in the Cold War.
That too, possibly, yeah. Oh no.
What? What did you say?
Stop you boys! Shut down!
Everyone just run away panicking.
I love the way they run in those suits.
Bust out! Yeah, they'll just descend to anarchy.
Oh.
Alright, Dr. No, it's time to show you just what happens to know-it-alls like you.
This is acid, right?
Stop mocking my name! Well, it's highly radioactive.
That can be good.
But oh no, guys.
And then he transforms into the Hulk.
Dr. No's lack of
Actually,
hands killed
considering
him.
honestly, considering the circumstances, it seems more like he's gonna become the Joker.
So yeah, Dr. No's lack of hands.
He's no more.
Take a wild guess between the hotness, the water, or the radiation.
Let's see, he'll probably become Clayface, considering how much
So
it's
yeah.
gonna melt him.
Dr. No was only on screen for like 10 minutes.
But he had
And he dies in a very pathetic way.
But he had a very good fist fight, and look at that! America achieves the
Jova,
liftoff.
that would imply Dr. No has hands.
Alright, now we
No,
just need to
he
save
used-
Honey and get the fudge out of here.
Assuming she's not dead already.
Well, we don't even know where she is.
Well, this is a Bond movie, so we have to end with Bond and the Bond girl having
Riding
sex.
onto the
Well,
sunset.
well, to be fair, he's got another Bond girl waiting for him back at home.
Who?
You remember the one
That
who was
one in the
playing golf
casino.
in his office?
Oh, that one. That's not one of his. That's not a. That. Remember, she was sent. He sent her on that limo. So.
Could have fooled me.
We're done with that one.
Punch.
Where is she?
You have to understand, Jova, that Bond switches sex partners like a normal person switches shirts.
Like I said, he's like James T. Kirk.
I mean, he's already had 4 girls
She
now in
got
this
straight
movie.
up to the wall, of course.
Oh, trust me, Jova. This is only the beginning.
So
This
I'm
is the beginning. Here's when. What the fuck was this? Was his plan? Having her drown when the water rose high
To her
enough?
ankles.
I guess so.
What the?
It's
But Tia, don't you see?
It's like
She
we missed
breathes-
part of the story. We.
Dang.
But Tia, don't you see? She breathes through her ankles.
Boy,
Of course,
everyone's
it's
getting the heck out of Dodge.
Like quiet.
abandon ship, but literally.
Guys, there's 2 intruders here. What should we do?
Screw that noise! I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. I quit.
But what will Dr. No think?
Last I saw on the camera vision, Dr. No is no more.
You've been waiting years to make that pun, haven't you?
He kicked me in the tuchus. Of course I was waiting to make that pun.
Okay, okay, I'm pretty sure radiation is going to be leaking out of that feeler.
How convenient! They're the only two that survived the exit.
Like you said, everyone that was in like a 1 kilometer radius should have been considered sterile at this point, minimum.
Well, I say that this is a very nice day to relax on the riverbanks after that little bout of excitement.
But Mr. Bond, we should be covered by radiation.
Oh, please, we'll be fine. It's part of
Just
my...
a shower and you'll be fine.
We'll be glowing in the dark whenever we have sex.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
We'll die.
Please,
There we
am
go.
contractually obligated not to
Well,
die.
we were optimistic about being funded by someone.
Ha!
I hope we weren't interrupting anything.
Da, da, da.
And so the day was saved, thanks to James Bond and Honey, I guess.
She did stuff. You know what's a shame? They never got to have a final confrontation with that dragon. That thing was awesome.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. The mechanical dragon's more of a villainous threat than the title villain.
James,
James, the rope! The rope! The rope, you fool! You've doomed us all! What have you done? Well,
Wait, he did that on purpose?
yeah.
You know, there's always
So we
there's
can
a,
have sex.
this is also another running gag, Deji. There's always something at the end.
Oh, there you go. Filmed in
always,
Jamaica and at Pinewood Studios. There
but
you
a
go.
lot of Bond movies end this way, where his partners or bosses come and get him, for a good celebration. But then he throws them off so he can stay and have sex with the Bond girl.
but
And
dude,
so-
Why
now
can't they just wait until they're safe and sound?
I mean, now
then
you're gonna
have
be
fun?
stranded at sea. For
Sorry,
what?
sorry, Dave,
And-
the power boner is stronger.
And it was Bond's lost that cost him his life.
Oh dear.
Anyway, that was Dr. No. Final thoughts, once to start.
Me.
Go on.
Yeah, again, it's not the best Bond film, I'll be honest, but it does do a good job setting up the framework that future movies would expand upon and do a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
The best part of this movie for me, actually, is are the sets. This is Ken Adams' first Bond film as a set designer, and he would later go on to do sets for almost all the Bond films up until Moonraker.
Huh, wow.
And yeah. I mean, the sets do get better from this, but it's a good example of his craftsmanship as the series goes on. And Sean Connery does a good job in the movie. Again, he has better performances after this, but again, he does get the ball rolling.
Again, I just love how he starts with the English accent, but then after that goes, screw this, I'm going to do this in the iconic voice. That's the one people are going to remember me for anyway.
The villain, when he does show up, I mean, sure, he has a chilling speech about Spectre, but other than that, what does he do? Presses some buttons, yells something that we can't understand, and his lack of hands costs him dearly as he just slides pathetically into the highly radioactive water.
But not after having a little bit of fisticuffs with Bond, eh?
Again, Joe, but he can't have fisticuffs. He has no hands.
Well, he punches him with those black things on the end of his arms.
Well, yeah, what a little good they did. In fact, they cost him his life.
Yeah, they're good for beating people with. They're not good for saving lives, sadly.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is, don't lose your hands, I guess.
You hear that, Army veterans?
Yeah, that's it. That is one weird Aesop we got from this. And the score. Yeah, Bond theme, great. The music for the rest of the film itself, again, I'm not sure. I think it's too overly bombastic for this kind of series. Again, I know Bond scores are known for being bombastic tunes, but I think this one went overboard. Fortunately, John Barry, who composed the Bond music for the next many films, does a much better job at making it bombastic, but not overly so.
Although you have to admit, Drib, special mention goes to the Death of the Tarantula theme. dun,
Like
dun, dun,
it
dun.
it fit. It just sounded more like something from freaking Looney Tunes. Yeah. So ultimately, that's Doctor No. Good film. Weak in some areas. It will get better from here. All right, it's next.
Dejim?
It was alright. I liked it. It was the first film, and yeah, there are some flaws that I'm sure we've pointed out. But for what it was, and the first, and what it laid out the groundwork for future movies, for what it was, and yeah,
All right.
Pedro?
No, this is a classic, obviously. Like the movie that started it all, of course. Not technically, but might as well. It technically was the one that started the franchise. Pretty much most of the iconic aspects and running gags started here. There's no Desmond Llewellyn, so that's a major thing against it, obviously, because because without Desmond Llewellyn, aka the iconic Q, like
but it's the first movie.
I know, but the lack of Desmond Llewellyn is like Dwib said. There's some flaws, and one of the flaws is the lack of Desmond Llewellyn.
Just stop.
By the way, it's pronounced Llewellyn.
Llewellyn? Is it Llewellyn? Okay.
I've heard that name before.
That's the name of the main character from No Country for Old Men. God damn it. Desmond Llewellyn, lack of him aside, everything checks out. We have the Money Penny moment. We have M. We have the Blonde Girl. We even have some of the running gags that would show up again and again in future movies. It's pretty much a great start for. I would argue, like for the time, it was perfectly great. Like, and I think even today, I think it's a perfectly enjoyable Bond movie. We could have used a bit more of the villain throughout. I think they could have at the very least done something a bit more of the villain. Just maybe have him have a bit more speeches throughout or something like that. Like have him talk to his henchmen about how evil he is or something like that. But aside from that, it's fine. So it works perfectly fine for what it is. It's a good old it's a classic, and it's just perfectly watchable and fun. Go ahead.
I'll go next. It's fine for what it is. It's just that the spy genre is usually not for me, and this being like a beginning, setting up things, despite having some entertaining value for me, wasn't the most exciting thing that I could say. I respect it for what it is, though I don't condemn it. Other things were done because of being a product of its time, but arguably it still has those couple of problems, like having the villain being in the shadows for a lot of time. I think that yes, it was used for storytelling for the time this was made, but of course, in today's eyes, it's viewed as almost alien in a kind of way. But the major source of entertainment to me, obviously, is the inappropriate score in some elements, in a sense that not that we're using music that should not be used, but the fact that it's the tone does not reflect exactly what's happening on screen. Like, again, the most dramatic scene is supposedly the killing of a fucking tarantula, poor bastard of a spider. And of course, Dr. No as a starting villain is kind of weak, even not counting the fact that he shows up basically near the end. The whole confrontation with him is just very poor. Even dies in a very anticlimactic way. Poor bastard. Otherwise, this is fine. So I guess I'm guessing the couple of Bond movies will pick up a bit more my interest. But this is just what I think personally of it. I still understand what these movies represent and why they are beloved by their fans. Java.
Yeah, I'd say that this still holds up as a good movie. It definitely has a lot of camp to it, and honestly, I'm fine with that. it is very, 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 very deep into the 60s mentality of a lot of stuff, though. I think my only regrets are, again, the villain Dr. No didn't get as much presence. We didn't get to see an actual final confrontation with the actual dragon. Now that was actually kind of epic. It's a shame we never got a final confrontation with that thing. Like, heck, what if Dr. No were actually piloting that thing in the final confrontation? Now that would have been a good final confrontation. But yeah, the music. Honestly, I'm fine with the music, you know. Yeah, I get it, bombastic and maybe not always the best fitting. But again, with the 60s mentality, it just works there in a sense. Now, for like a newer movie here, yeah, I expect more. But for a movie back in and of its time, it's fine. It gets the job done.
And it's still more memorable than any of the MCU films.
Except for some stuff in Phase 3, but I digress. Well, okay, Endgame.
Honestly, we're talking about the villain, I mean?
No. He's talking about the musical scores.
Oh, the musical scores. Well, a lot of good Alan Silvestri's scores were great.
Yeah, but they just weren't always the most memorable until Phase 3, except for Captain America First Avenger. But anyway, back on topic here.
Yeah, First Avengers score was awesome.
It was.
And the First Avengers movie.
Yeah, you know, they
also by Alan Silvestri.
Yeah, they really should have made that be more of a recurring theme until, but, you know, you get the point. Anyway, back to this movie, though. Yeah, overall, it's a good one. It's definitely fun to watch with people here and there. And, you know, it definitely is a nice starting ground thing. You know, it gets you to know the characters that you need to know well enough. It's what I like to call a good blueprint for the franchise. Gets its job done well there. I mean, hopefully the villains will have better goes at Bond.
Well, hopefully they'll actually show up.
Oh, Dwibs, you BRB during it, but I actually had an idea of how to improve this movie. Like, have Dr. No actually piloting the dragon for the final confrontation, and then Bond has to defeat him and the dragon.
Suppose.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, this is a good, fun movie. One that I definitely have no qualms watching. And hey, I guess it's a good introduction for me to the Bond series. I mean, technically, I still consider Casino Royale my introduction since that was very, 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 very technically the first James Bond one.
Yeah, the 50s one.
Yeah. Technically, that was the first ever James Bond film, but of course, a lot of the advertisements credit this as the actual first James Bond film. For reasons.
Yeah. Is that it, Jibber?
Yeah, good movie.
Okay, that was Dr. No. We hope you enjoyed our commentary. We'll see you next time for From Russia with Love.
Yeah. See you then.
Bye-bye.